It is the Front Page Saturday Town Hall edition, brought to you by the Independent Professionals Association. At indiework.org, the City of Los Angeles Council President Emeritus Herb Wesson, Community Build, and Supervisor Mark Ridley-Thomas. We want to show some love to Vacancy Avenue. They're having a ribbon cutting for their new storefront. Mayor James Butts will be there. And Armour Noir, they are teaming up to do a drive and drop contactless curbside donation drop-off for back-to-school supplies. That's here in Inglewood. So, if you get a chance to drop by and support, it's at 1323 North La Brea. So pleased to bring on our brand new sponsor to the Saturday Town Hall edition, bringing you news and information on COVID-19, the Supervisor for the 2nd District, Mark Ridley-Thomas. Welcome.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much. Pleased to be engaged in this way with civic-minded radio hosts who's representing with consistency. So shout out to you, Dominique, for your good work, and to the Front Page listeners on KJLH Radio Free.
Yay. Well, there's a lot to cover, and we so appreciate your support. And we know that, I think it's Tuesday, the 18th, the county, under your leadership, is bringing forth help for tenants, for renters and landlords in the county of LA. Not people in the city, but people in our big old county.
Well, it's true, and I have to tell you that there's a lot of pain, a lot of suffering in our communities right now, and we've got to do all that we can do to help, and that's why we're coming forward. A recent study says as many as 365,000 households in LA could potentially lose their homes if the state, for example, lifts its eviction moratorium. And so the county has to do all that it can do to step forward. And that's why, to help, the Board of Supervisors has approved $100 million in funds to create a COVID-19 rent relief program. And it's operated by the county's development authority. It will launch this coming Monday. And the programs, Dominique, will accept applications for just 2 weeks, starting Monday, August 17th, and all the way through August 31st. The program's goal is to assist anywhere from 8,000 to 9,000 households, and we are serious about this work. And this is emergency rental assistance. It'll be geared toward people who need it the most, especially low-income residents in danger of being displaced or becoming homeless. That's what this is about. And half of the funds will be targeted toward residents who receive half or less than half of the median income. And so this program is one of the first examples of a new, what we want to call a new framework where we're pushing forth an anti-discriminatory, anti-racist approach to policy making and the allocation of resources. We're putting these resources where they belong. And we're also allocating more than $10 million on Eviction Defense. And that's being led by the Department of Business and Consumer Affairs in coordination with a range of community partners. So, look, it's going to be on this coming Monday. The departments are standing ready. People are in need. Therefore, we have a big obligation to come forward. Now, if you want to know more about it, your callers can call 211 to get more information. Or if they are interested in the application, they can go to 211la.org/LA County /rent relief. Shall I say that again? 211la.org/LA County /rent relief. It's all about rent relief. Now, with your permission, Dominique, I want to bring in Emilio Salas.
Absolutely.
Who is representing in his usual effective fashion on behalf of the LA County Development Authority. He can fill in a few more details about this brand new and exciting rent relief program that's going to help thousands of people.
Yes, welcome, Emilio Salas.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. And you have responsibility for the county's affordable housing, community, and economic development programs. So you're the right guy to tell us a little bit more about this rent relief program, which I'm sure is going to be enormously popular right now.
Well, one of the things that I really wanted to highlight, and the supervisor alluded to it, and the board and Supervisor Mark Ridley-Thomas was very purposeful about making sure that we put an equity lens to this assistance. So normally when you get a first-come, first-served type of approach, you normally get communities of color that get shut out of the entire assistance that you're trying to provide. So in this particular instance, we were purposeful about targeting high-need areas. So as the supervisor alluded to, 50% of the funds, at least 50%, are going directly to communities that have been hardest hit by COVID-19. So anyone that lives within those areas and has the income threshold that we have set will go right to the front of the line and get immediate assistance. So there's two tiers of assistance. For those that are at 50% of the median income and below, you will get a total of $7,500 of assistance. For those that are at 30% or below, there will be up to $10,000 of assistance available. So this is very substantial assistance that is meant really to prevent homelessness altogether.
Very important. And when we talk about eviction assistance, what does that mean, eviction defense?
So for eviction defense by the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, what they will do is folks that are going down the road of an eviction process or that have had an unlawful detainer filed, they will be connected to legal resources. The vast majority of individuals that go through an eviction process are unrepresented. So that is the first key in preventing an eviction, is really providing legal assistance to let the renter know exactly what their rights are. Now, there are a number of provisions that have been implemented in regard to eviction defense. And this eviction moratorium, for example, prevents a property owner from evicting somebody because they have not been able to pay their rent during this moratorium period. They have 12 months in which to pay any back rent. So if a property owner tries to evict somebody for that back rent and a renter is not aware of those rights, then certainly you can see how that household is very vulnerable to becoming homeless. So eviction defense is a key. It's something that is going to work hand in hand with this particular program.
And Supervisor Mark Ridley-Thomas, all of these things we can access through 211la.org/LA County/rent relief, or just calling 211, which, is great for anything countywide in terms of information.
That's absolutely right. And they'll be at the ready. We have trained personnel ready to do what needs to do to meet the needs that are very, very serious. They're very, very deep. I would not delay. I would call with immediacy, because we know that the issue is urgent, and we just have to be grateful for Front Page facilitating this news and information getting to those who need it most, with the kind of consistency and quality that is happening every single Saturday, as we seek to get people the information that they absolutely have to have. This is tough out there.
It is. And Supervisor, I think, we're dealing with pandemic and an election, and also people are concerned about, the pandemic and the economic impacting gentrification, which means people losing their homes, becoming homeless, getting pushed out of neighborhoods, which means you're going to be obviously much less likely to vote. So I think all of these are actually related issues. I mean, if we don't have a place to live, voting is not top of mind. So appreciate this work and this opportunity, Mr. Salas and Mr. Ridley-Thomas, for our listeners and beyond.
Well, we thank you. I mean, it's all connected. We put the equity lens on this because we know that there has to be a fair distribution of these resources. So we're working extremely hard to reject practices of the past. As Emilio just indicated, we're trying to do a new thing, a fair thing, a right thing. Dr. King said it, and I believe it's always the right time to do the right thing. And this is the right thing to do with these resources. This is $100 million. It's going to help thousands of individuals, 8,000 to 9,000 families alone, in addition to the number of people we will help with the Eviction Defense resources. It's substantial. And we may be obliged to do more as we go forward. We've got to push back on all of that madness that's coming from the White House and represent for the people who need it and need it the most. That's what this represents, and I'm proud to be one of those who's moving it and moving it forward forcefully.
Yes, Mr. Emilio Salas, thank you so much for that information. Bringing in another voice, you guys are doing a lot of things to make it easier for people to vote in LA County. Dean Logan was on earlier, and Alex Padilla, and, just really helping people get their minds around some of the concerns. And joining us right now, the Executive Vice President of Corporate Strategy and Development for the LA Football Club and the Banc of California Stadium, works on government relations, operations, and business strategy. Benny Tran, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. Thank you for having us, and good morning, Supervisor.
Morning to you, Benny.
So you guys, this is yet another, innovative initiative to help people, to make it easier. We don't have the situations that we're seeing on the national news in other states and other counties, right, Supervisor?
That's correct. And Dominic, permit me a point of personal privilege to say I was just at the stadium. They're doing big things over there right now. Mothers in Action. They are distributing backpacks and food. 1,000 families today, right now, because the urgency of the moment and the circumstances in which people find themselves. So I want to say that LAFC is representing as we speak. And so they have modeled, Dominique, what it means to be a responsible corporate entity. It's sports, but it's way more than that in terms of what they have represented. From the beginning with the local worker hire, with the small business development and all that. Now they enter the scene to help people, the hotel workers that unite here. We stayed at the venue to share fresh groceries there. We're back with Mothers in Action. So they're deeply doing the work. And then they move into what is civically responsible. I mean, we've lost two significant civil rights leaders, both the Reverend C.T. Vivian and Congressman John Conyers. They came from a generation that in the face of the evils of segregation, their bravery and sacrifice as young men helped to change the world as we know it. And when we think about Selma, when we think about that Edmund Pettus Bridge, we got to think about C.T. Vivian and John Lewis and many more, because what they did to fast forward the Voting Rights Act of 1965, that same Voting Rights Act now applies to the state of California. It was Alabama then, it's California now in terms of bilingual ballots and a range of things that protect people's rights to vote. I want to give a shout out to Ava DuVernay. Why? Because she put Selma forward and educated a whole new generation of people about what voting means. Now, if listeners are not sure as to whether they are registered to vote, they can check on their registration status by going to lavote.net. It's just that simple. Go there and see if you're registered. Now, the deadline for registering by mail and online is Monday, October 19th. Don't delay. If you're not sure, go to lavote.net. But the deadline is Monday, the October 19th. And as you well know, voting is on November the 3rd. So you said it earlier, Dominic, the pandemic has created all kind of new challenges But we have to remain committed to delivering a vote by mail ballot to every registered voter in this county, in addition to providing every voter the opportunity to safely vote in person if they so choose, especially for low-income and historically low-turnout communities. Now, the White House is doing everything it can to engage in voter suppression, straight out trying to implode the U.S. Postal Service, if you can imagine. And so we've got to not only turn up, but we've got to turn out. That's our claim. That's our commitment. And we've got to move this agenda forward. I mean, I guess I can say it in these terms. It needs to be said, yes, Black lives matter, but Black votes count. And we can never lose sight of the significant contribution and the down payment that people made, that all of us have the right to vote. Now, there'll be a lot of locations where people can vote from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 5 days a week, 5 days prior to election. And then in the 2nd District alone, there will be as many as 20 vote centers open 10 days before the election so people can vote. So we are targeting low-income environments so that we can urge them to vote. Why? So they understand that their vote does count throughout significant areas of the county of Los Angeles. And so this is important, and that's why we thank Benny Tran and Tom Penn, the whole crew, because November 2020 is important. I just want to say we got to have a personnel change in the White House on November the 3rd. Can't get here fast enough as far as I'm concerned. And if you don't know whether you're hooked up or not, go to www.lavote.net. Make sure that you are hooked up with respect to your voting rights and exercise them accordingly. That's all I got, Dominique, on that.
All right. Well, yeah. And also let's hear from Mr. Tran. Talk to me about what you guys are stepping up to do for this election.
Yeah, I really appreciate the Supervisor's kind words and giving us the opportunity to really partner with him and his office to service the community. It is in our DNA to service the community and be a part of the community. And voting registration, voting election education is all part of that. So in partnership with LA County Registrar's Office and Secretary of State's office, we will be a voting center, November 3rd and 5 days before that. And we're in the planning process of doing that. And we're hosting our first game next week with the Galaxy on August 22nd, and working in partnership again with LA County Public Health Department to make sure that safely and securely execute these games, making sure that our players and staff and our workers are all safe. And these protocols will be the same for everyone to be safe and secure when they come vote. And in addition to that, just not being a voting center, this is one of their main initiatives here this year. And as the supervisor said, it's 2020. We are using all our channels to really get everyone out to vote and give them the opportunity to come to our location to vote and get people registered to vote and further educate as much as we can and make this a 2020 opportunity for everyone to come out and really civically engage with us and with our city.
And, that's powerful. I think the socially innovative aspect to what businesses can do right now and being community partners is very much appreciated and more important than ever. So, time flies when you're on the front page. I just want to ask you, Mr. Tran, what would you maybe advise or share with other, businesses or other community institutions like yours, like the LA Football Club and Banc of California Stadium, on how, they can play a role?
Yeah, I think here, much like also we announced that we're a part of a nonpartisan coalition with 20 other sports teams. It's about coming together as a community, really push for voting, nonpartisan, but I think, exercise our rights to vote and encourage that. We all have, there are many businesses in challenging times, but it's a reason for us to rally together, either through many different channels, get the younger people to vote, get people who don't have the opportunity to vote. We are looking at trying to figure out how do we get people canvassing or virtual canvassing, education, sessions to really have people understand what they're voting for. And I think this is a responsibility for all of us to do so, especially businesses, in addition to, people like us who are in the sports, platform, and have a wide reach, and to do it as best as possible. You see LeBron's nonprofit as well doing the same.
Mm-hmm.
Dodger Stadium also committing to becoming a voting center, and all of us are binding together to really push this initiative. And I think that's what community first and put civic engagement first is really the message. And then I think all of us have communities that come and follow us, and I think we just stand together as one.
Benny Tran, thank you so much. Supervisor Ridley-Thomas, just a short time left. What would you leave us with this morning?
Well, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot more to be done. And I'm very pleased to be in partnership with entities like KJLH and all of the strong work that's being done to communicate with consistency to listeners. Pleased to be in partnership with the LA Football Club, acting with the highest level of engagement from a civic vantage point. The work that we're doing on rent relief cannot be overemphasized because people need it. This is not about people taking advantage. This is about people trying to eke out an existence under very dire circumstances comparable to unemployment during the Great Depression. And so this is all serious. We're stepping up. We're not accepting the status quo. We don't believe that people should have to be subjected to these forms of indignity. And so the push for change, the push for a higher quality of life, the push to protect the workers who are being exposed on the front lines and in many instances being subjected to retaliation in their workplaces, all of this is tied together because those very same workers are threatened with losing their job. They then become homeless. They are those that then have to be benefited by rent relief. And so, as you said earlier, Dominique, it all is connected. And so we're here to make this point clear. We're here to represent. We're here to fight for the people who deserve it the most.
Supervisor Mark Ridley-Thomas, we thank you. Family, see you Monday morning. Guy Black is next. Until next time, Radio Free Family, one love.